Hi, I'm Gary Tangeman, and you are watching History in Small Scale. This is an introduction to the French and Indian War, really a series of videos that I had no idea was going to develop in the direction that it's gone, but actually has become a bit of a mini-series, if you will. And this is an introduction to part one, where we have the French and Indian War as it began to unfold in the mid-1700s in the upper eastern woodlands of the United States. And what an amazing period of time this was. And in part one, we're going to show a bit of the story of Braddock's defeat, a time when the British, with great pomp and circumstance, were cutting their way literally through the forest when they were suddenly attacked by French and Indians hiding in the woods. And Braddock's column was absolutely devastated by this attack because the British, only way they knew to fight was to stand and fire while the Indians and the French were hiding running between trees and bushes and hiding and making it very difficult to find them as targets. So in recreating this scene, first of all, of Braddock's defeat, we had to develop the scenery and the background of a forest. And so you have a lot of leaves in a forest. So I used literally leaves from my elm tree in the front yard and broke those up into smaller pieces to give the appearance of a forest. And so the British troops are marching along, unbeknownst to them, being watched by the French and Indians, who begin to open fire on them. And then all of that culminates with a final battle called the Battle of Bushy Run, where a group of British soldiers were trying to bring relief to a fort there in upper state New York, or actually around Pennsylvania, I should say, when they came under attack again by French and Indian. Well, it wasn't easy to create these scenes because we needed to be able to show forest and the forest branches of trees that were interspersed with the figures that we put in these scenes. And I was wondering, how in the world am I going to do that? Because when you take normal size scenery, you put it against the size of the figures, it's way too big. So I was able to find some twigs, and I repainted them brown so they look like the trunks of trees. And then in my backyard, I found a fern. And I cut branches from this fern and attached them to the tops of these twigs that we painted brown to look like the trunks of the trees. And these ferns are hanging down, and when you see the figures against some of these fern branches, it looks like the leaves and all are about in the right size. So it was a challenge to kind of create some of this, but I think you'll find it interesting as you look at this video on the French and Indian War Part 1.